So they probably never experienced what it's like to be in -3, -8 degrees.
No, my sons they go around in t-shirts and they say they're too cold, and they don't know what it's like to have to wear several layers. Sort of they're not accustomed to it at all. Oh dear.
Let's see if Ajahn is here now. Are you here, Ajahn?
Yes, now I'm here. สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Ajahn. สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับ ท่านอาจารย์
Hello, everyone. So maybe we can start, and I'm sure others will join. Sal, maybe it's a good chance to bring up some of your topics. One topic which Sal introduced at the end of one of the discussions, I forget what it was about listening, discussing, reading. People often ask, is it better to listen or discuss or to read or whatever? And we had a little bit of discussion on DSG, and I was pointing to this moment because we think of this situation or that situation. Should I read more, or should I join more discussions, or should I write more? But we forget about now, about seeing now, hearing now, thinking now, whilst we keep thinking of what should I do. Would you like to add a little more, Zhao, and then Ajahn and others can add their comments too?
Yes, I appreciate if Sarah could assist me with any English correction. Thank you. During the DHG discussion, I could Sarah just recap is okay for me, and I really appreciate about this. And today I have another, not the topic, but just a small question. Can I?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. And during the discussion, Sarah and some other people talk about the idea that everything we learn is always connected to the reality of the present moment. And the topic I would like to, the small question I would like to bring up today is, can you elaborate on how to do this, considering that our minds are often occupied with complex thought from the sutta? How can our mind simultaneously engage with the complexity on the sutta and stay coordinate with the reality of the present moment? And Kunsara, please ask anything if you need. Thank you.
I just repeat my summary of it in case it's not clear for anyone. So we were discussing about how whatever we read in suttas, like a phrase from the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, he knows I am going. But in truth, whatever is said, whatever is written, whatever is now, are just different dhammas arising and falling away. So we know that actually there are only chittas, cetasikas, and rupas arising and falling away. So conventionally we say, I am going. But in truth, there are just chittas and cetasikas conditioning different rupas, giving the impression of walking, moving, and because the truth is covered up so quickly. There's the idea of I, someone who is going, someone who is doing this, someone who is doing that. And I think your question now is that what we read in the suttas is quite deep and complex, and then we look at what the commentaries say, and we read more and more details about different elements, different realities. And actually, even when reading such details, even when thinking about whether to discuss or to read or to look at the commentaries, in fact, there's only the citta now, one at a time. So it's not a matter of reading more or reading less, but always coming back to what is the truth at this moment. It seems there is some conflict or disturbance, but that's only because we're so used to thinking of I and a situation and the story, and forget about seeing now, thinking now, hearing now. It doesn't mean that we stop whilst reading the sutta, or stop in the discussion, or stop when looking at TV to remember that there are different realities. Life goes on as usual, but with a little more understanding.
And I think, Zal, as I understand your question, you are asking, how can we always keep in mind the deep meaning of the suttas while going about daily life? Is that correct? Is that your question? Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's I confused. When we dive into the detail of the sutta and how can it coordinate with the daily life.
And so we are not expecting to, as it were, coordinate the deep meaning of the suttas with daily life. That is not possible because understanding is not sufficiently developed to do that. But we have heard often that the factors for understanding, for the development of understanding, include not only hearing or reading the teachings, but reflecting on their meaning. And as we've also said many times, the reflection or consideration of the deep meaning of the suttas is not something that is done by deliberate effort. It's something that happens by conditions, not necessarily at the time of the reading and hearing, of course, but also at other times afterwards. So that is not the same thing as trying to connect the deep meaning with the daily life. The consideration has to happen naturally by conditions. And there may be, during that consideration, some connection, as you use it, as you say, may be made with something in one's daily life. But that is not the expectation, or that is not the purpose. So daily life goes on as usual, but with the benefit of what one has heard and considered in terms of the Buddha's teaching. And I invited John to make some remarks on this interesting question. Thank you.
We cannot understand the whole life as Buddha taught, but it is a beginning of to consider the words of the teaching about what is there in truth. Because even right now, the idea of I'm sitting here, I hear and I see is always there. Even we heard many times, 100,000 times of the word, no I, Seeing is seeing, hearing is hearing, but that's not enough. That's why anytime when we heard about the truth of what is there, it begins to letting go the idea of something or I very gradually, very subtly. That's why it has to understand the truth of this moment, that even no one there is heard, but it's not as it is. But if there is a little more considering about what is there, little by little, that's the way right understanding begin to develop, to be firm and firm understanding of the truth of not I, no I, not anything. It's just as it is. Little by little, that is now. Is that right? So even we heard a lot about no I, no thing at all. But what is there has to be thought about very carefully. What is it? The word is that which is seen is not enough. But what is seen something all the time because it arises and falls away so rapidly. That's why the Virya and Kanti is there. It doesn't matter how much understanding of the truth of what is now appearing is there. It doesn't matter as long as hearing again and again and again and thinking, considering the truth very gradually at moment of hearing and considering and understanding. That's the way it is. To understand how long it will take to realize the truth of seeing is a reality now. It has to arise, otherwise it's not there seeing. But as soon as it has risen, performing its function instantly, as soon as it arises, it falls away instantly. This is heard all the time to develop gradually to letting go, no intention, no desire to know it, to realize it when it's there right now, but let it develop by understanding very gradually without intention and attachment to have it suddenly realized as it is. And that's the way it develops. And that's the path leading to understand the truth of no one and nothing at all. No I would like to experience it. No I who tries so much to understand it. But it develops so very secretly, subtly. And that is the path leading to letting go the idea of I see or I hear, little by little. Is that true? That's the way it is. Shall we change it? Impossible. Patience is there, not to try, not to do, but to understand the truth, little by little. So little by little, right now, as it is right now. That's all. Is it true?
We can't hear you, Tao. Can you answer a little louder? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Asha. And I will consider clearly, carefully on this. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Ajahn, please carry
Yes,
on.
I can.
What moment will be kusala? What moment will be just aware of what is there with a little understanding? So very little, but it's there already as it's different from moment when it's not there. No one can do anything. It works its way right now, and on and on. Is there more confidence of the way it is? It develops, no one there, until it shows up. What degree of understanding is there? Put the salt, a grain of salt in the ocean, a grain of salt. That's the way to let go of attachment, the second noble truth. It's now working its way. Joy, nothing to be done. Even now, it considers no one there, consider at all. All are Dhammas. Such firm understanding will lead to understand more and more the truth. By conditions, when time comes, anatta, the way it is. Is it your way or its way?
Its way.
Mhm. Letting go now. Not me, not my way, but its way. This is the path. So very secretly, very subtly.
Ajahn. Ajahn,
Yes, please.
I ask the question because sometimes I can't understand the detail in the sutta. So I worry and I ask to somebody I miss to explain to me, and it's made me confused. And now under Sarah and other teacher, especially Ajahn, explain to me, it's made me better, and I feel better, more
So
confident
confident,
in, yeah.
more
Because
confident of the past.
And it has to be like this. It's always drop by drop. It cannot be two drops. It's just one drop at a time. So you shouldn't expect more.
and so what is most precious is always the understanding now. So if one's reading a sutta or anything and one's confused and worried, what about the confusion now? What about the seeing now? What about the upset now? It can be understanding anytime, any place, understanding of what appears here and now. This is more important than trying to work out the detail, trying to work out the story, because then it's just I that would like to understand, that would like to know, but no understanding of what appears here and now. So it's always going to be the same. No one can understand all that the Buddha taught. But what about the confidence with understanding of just what appears right now, no matter it's seeing, no matter it's worry, no matter it's patience, no matter it's the opposite, lack of patience. It's daily life. None of them belong to me or you. So always back to this very moment. And this is the truth the Buddha taught.
Yes, it's so helpful to me. I really appreciate to Ajahn, you and other teacher.
And And in the end, it doesn't matter what, because you asked a question about whether Ajahn taught the same as in the commentary or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what this person or that person or this teacher or that teacher says. In the end, it comes back to the understanding, because only the understanding can bring the confidence. Otherwise, again, there'll be confusion and worry because this one says this thing and that one says that. But what about testing what is true at this moment?
Yeah.
Is there any I that can go or see or do anything? Or are there just different moments of seeing, hearing, thinking about it, thinking about going, thinking about I doing this and that? So understand what is true now. There was a good point that came up in one of the, I think it was in one of the Vietnamese discussions. There was a discussion about the new Dharma home and the different houses of Dharma. And Ajahn stressed the point that actually anywhere where there is understanding, like now discussing with friends, is Dharma home. We don't have to think about this or that place, this or that situation, reading this text or that text, because Dhamma is here and now. So when there is understanding now, this is Dhamma home at this very moment. So if there's worry, conditions for worrying, it could be worry about the sutta, it could be worry about one's money, worry about one's children, worry about the new baby. But it's just a Dharma that arises and falls away, conditioned by clinging, clinging to wanting to know, clinging for things to be another way. So let the understanding develop naturally anytime. Otherwise, one's just setting rules all the time.
Thank you, Achan. Thank you, Mr. It's so helpful to me. Thank you again.
Thanks for bringing up the topics, Tal.
Sarah, there's a word Dhamma Datu, is it, which means its own way? Is that right?
Dhamma
Dhamma
means just natural, just as it is. So seeing has to be seeing now, because it's arising naturally by its own conditions. No one can make it any other way. No one can change what is conditioned now. If there's worry now, it's Dhamma. It just arises naturally because of conditions, because of the accumulations. Thinking there shouldn't be worry because one's reading a sutta is the wrong understanding, because whilst those accumulated tendencies are there, not eradicated, there can be worry or fear or disturbance about anything. All Dhamma, here and now.
That's the subtle way that the Buddha talks about, really, isn't it? That's a very subtle point, that it has to be its own way.
It has to be just as it's conditioned at this very moment. No one opens a sutta or commentary wishing to have worry and confusion, but when it's time for worry, it arises. That's how it is. When it's time for attachment with unwholesome joy, that's how it is. When it's time for a little understanding with wholesome joy, wholesome piti, that's how it is. And the understanding doesn't mind. Whatever is conditioned can be understood here and now. Just different dhammas arising naturally, not in anyone's control, not arising by anyone's wish.
And I think that takes a long time to appreciate, because in the beginning, there's always going to be, even unknowingly, the idea of someone who can do something. So it takes a lot of intellectual understanding, as Ajahn says, as you say, to begin to turn away from this idea of trying or doing, and that it has to be just its own way, just different realities arising, performing their function. It is the most subtle path.
And that is the only way there can be the gradual letting go. Because otherwise, even when reading a sutta, even when hearing a discussion, when there's the trying to be aware, trying to understand, trying to catch the meaning, it is the wrong path at those moments. It's not the understanding of Dhamma, of whatever is appearing here and now. And that minding, that wishing, that trying hinders the natural understanding.
And as you say, it's a burden as well, isn't it? That that idea of having to do something, doing this, you should be there, you should be here, you should be discussing this, is a burden to daily life. Actually, daily life is just daily life. No need to worry about where you are or what you're doing, whether you're watching TV, a violent movie or whatever. It's just different realities performing their functions.
It's just different moments of seeing, hearing, and thinking, no matter whether one's watching the tennis now or opening the sutta or joining the discussion, just different realities. So this is the confidence that Jan was stressing. There has to be the development of confidence with understanding that there is only one way. The development of understanding naturally, not I doing anything at all. But as you say, it's subtle and a very long path.
So confidence, if you say you're converted to Buddhism, if you like, it comes from purely understanding. It's not because you're in a certain family, in a certain place. Really, ultimately, it's just because you understand the words of the Buddha.
It's only the understanding that can take refuge in the triple gem. It's only the understanding that leads to the confidence about the truth. Yes, nothing to do with whether one's in a temple or not, or in this place or in the forest or in the city. It all comes down to the understanding at this very moment.
Is there any, if we go to Varanasi, Sanath in Varanasi, those remains of where the Buddha taught his first sermon were uncovered. Originally they were buried. Is there any significance in their being unearthed, uncovered, and being restored, if you like, in terms of being of understanding reality? So in other words, the holy places, we visit the holy places, they've been, if you like, looked after, cared for. Is there any significance to the path to understanding reality now by those having been restored or unearthed?
Again, it depends on the citta at the moment when one's there, or the moment now, or the moment when one thinks of those relics or the places. It may be with great appreciation for the Buddha's teachings and joy in being able to follow the path where the Buddha passed, maybe with understanding, it may be with clinging, always back to this moment. Let me ask Ajahn to answer your question in more detail.
Even come back to this moment has to be conditioned. See, we learn about anatta, so that deep understanding of the truth of anatta means whatever is now, uncontrollable, no choice at all for any moment of right awareness to be aware of a moment. Even that has to be by conditioned. That's the way to letting go the idea of what is this moment, because the subtle of attachment is so very, very, very great, because it is there all the time, deep down all the time, depending on the understanding of whatever is now. it seems like there is some understanding of what is there, and there is thinking about it, whether to do this in order to have more, a little more, and let go, and so on. But that's not the way. See, the way is to understand the reality, which is so very deep, the clinging to that which is there, unknown, as it's not there anymore. So even now, which now and what now, depending on conditions, but right understanding is there. It has to be what is there appearing, because there's no understanding of it, but learning little by little to understand the truth of it. That is the way to letting go. It doesn't matter at all what now is, this now or that now, but whatever is there, it's by conditions. That's why the path is so very, very subtle. It can understand deeper and deeper, going down deeper and deeper at moment of understanding of what is there, as so deep as it is. That's why seeing, even seeing right now, no expectation when will it be object of understanding, but hearing again and again the reality which is there from birth, but it does not appear in life, because what appears is only that which is experienced through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So what is that? It is there. It needs more and more understanding and letting go, ignorance, not by anyone try to let go, not anyone try to understand, but the understanding develops so natural, it's so deep. That's why it does not appear as it is. But learning a little more about it, that which experiences the object. Otherwise, it can be just only the idea of understanding the words. But the reality which is there by conditions arises and falls away, does not show up yet. But the understanding begins to understand it's not the wrong way, it's not by oneself, but it's just the understanding of what is not understood yet. For example, the reality which experiences the object. See? So now it's time to hear it again in the teachings of the Buddha, no matter what page and what about. It's all about this hidden moment to be known, little by little, uncountable moments of considering again and again until, who knows, it's there ready to show up to the moment of understanding its truth, little by little, degrees by degrees. So now it's the degree of no doubt about the reality which experiences the object rather in words. But what about the nature of it? That's why there can be a little deeper understanding of the truth, even it's there, but without hearing again, consider again, no matter by this way or that way. For example, consider the moment of birth. It's there. Otherwise, there cannot be this moment. From the beginning of the first moment of life, it's there. But the experiencing is not known yet, because no thought about it. What in one's mind all the time is that which appears as the object which is experienced, but the experience itself. So now it is the development of understanding little by little to be mindful or attending to the characteristic which experiences until it gets closer and closer to the truth of what is there by conditions, no expectation at all, but the understanding of that which is there can begin at moment of hearing or at any time by conditions. The point is that it let go the idea of I will do or I'm doing or I'm trying or I'm developing and so on, because it's there just so very short and then gone. whatever is there gone, if there's no attention to it, as it's that it's the unknown. But now when we are talking about it, the reality which experiences the object, even is so short, but it can be conditioned and rooted to understand, to think about it, to consider it, until one day it's all there in life. No matter eating, walking, talking, or what is there, it's there by condition. That's why the path leading to understand the truth of what is there, which is so very deep, is so very subtle. And that's the way it let go. Attachment and ignorance of what is there, little by little, unknowingly, until it appears unexpectedly, shows up to be object of understanding, because understanding develops on and on and on to experience the truth of it stage by stage. So it's quite joy at moment of understanding the truth that who knows when it will be. And that is the way to let go attachment and desire to have it no matter sooner or later. That is so very, very, very subtle, because usually if it's not known in daily life, how can it show up? Because it's there in daily life. Attachment is there, aversion is there, liking is there, what appears is there all the time. Unknown until times come to begin to understand again and again and again and again. And that's the way it let go, secretly. Ignorance and attachment and right understanding is firmer to understand, no matter today, now or then, in the evening or morning, it doesn't matter at all. And that is letting go the idea of something or cling to that as atta anymore. So Buddha taught about what is there now to understand the truth. And that's the moment of letting go. Because he didn't just talk about the chief, the citta, which experiences, but what is there which is not known as sati, see, or attachment, or ignorance. If there's no word of truth, how can it be known that it's there all the time, from life to life, from moment to moment? And this is the way Buddha taught for 45 years, to be patient, parami, Satya Parami, Viriya Parami, Adidana Parami. Without them, there can never be the moment of understanding the truth as it is at all. So it's so natural, the way it develops secretly. So the point is it true? And that is the firm confidence of the truth, Satya Parami. It has to be like now, because it's now as it is. Depending on that is the understanding of the truth, of the way, the Ariya Satya, or not. Because no one there at all. Right understanding is there. Understand whatever is there as it is. Degree by degree, deeper and deeper, until it cannot arise again, ignorance and clinging with the idea of self. How long it has been accumulated, and how long it begins to understand the path. So we can talk about what Buddha taught in order to let go ignorance and attachment, because they are all there as subject, object of clinging, because of ignorance, no understanding of the truth. of what is there. Just learn about it, consider the truth about it. It's the way it is. Each moment, from moment to moment, no matter day or night or any time. Just understand a little more of the truth. No expectation when will it be realized, because without understanding this and that a little more, how can there be the realization of what is there as this and that? And this is the way. No other way.
I was just going to add, and any time, day or night, no expectations means no matter whether at home in your cold flat in London or in Sarnath, looking at the relics, or in sunny Australia, anywhere, anytime, no expectations means no one knows what will arise next, what will appear, whether there'll be ignorance or understanding at the next moment. So gradually there has to be the letting go of time and place and situation, and the confidence that it's always here and now.
Thank you.
Otherwise, there's clinging to the idea, oh, if I were in the holy place, or when I'm in the holy place, when I'm in Sarnath, when I'm in this place, or when it's warmer, when it's colder, when I'm in the Dhamma discussion, always forgetting about seeing as seeing, no matter there or here or now or later. It's always just seeing. Hearing is just hearing. Reading the difficult sutta and commentary or watching television is still just seeing, hearing. So letting go
also,
of the idea of another time, another place.
There's also another very subtle, difficult point, and that is the fact that when a reality is there, it's there, and when it's not there, it's gone. And that sounds quite simple, but actually it's very, very subtle, isn't it? Because what is touched is hardness, and hardness is gone. It's experienced and then gone. But actually, there's the idea of something which is touched, my hand or the table, and the same with all of the other doorways. So that actually, this one sort of intellectual point is extremely difficult and subtle and quite difficult to come to terms with. I mean, perhaps you could say something about that. This idea that when a reality is there, it is there, it is absolute truth. So taste is real. When it's experienced, taste is there, but when it's not there, it's gone completely. But actually, there's always the idea of something which lasts, isn't there? I mean, that strikes me as being an incredibly difficult point.
And that's why most of the time we're just living in dreams and fantasies about how life is, but no understanding of the reality. And if there's no understanding of taste, just what is taste, there will always be the idea of something lasting. There cannot be the understanding of the arising and falling away of taste if there's no understanding of taste as it is when it appears for an instant.
And I think
And
that's
then
what Ajahn referred to as madness. Taking,
yes,
yeah. It
taking
seems
it
the
for
other way
something.
around. I think for most people, if you say that it's, a reality is there and then it's gone, they think you're mad. But actually, it's the other way round. That that is the way it is, that actually taste has gone. And that is the truth of reality at that moment.
And the
But-
madness is clinging on to that which is already gone, clinging to the taste when there's no taste, clinging to what is seen when it's not seen anymore. So always clinging to what has already fallen away is real madness.
Yes, and extremely, for me, very difficult to come to terms with. I think very difficult for everybody. That one thing that it's gone, but it is the way it is. The hardness is gone. I mean, there's no question, and the table has no characteristic other than these realities. So the source of what we call table are realities which are gone. So yeah, it's very subtle.
In one of the discussions recently, Jan referred to the garbage through the 6 doorways, because what is seen, what is heard, it's just like garbage, it's just like rubbish, it's fallen away instantly, but it's the object of clinging. So it's actually clinging to garbage that's already fallen away.
Yes. Yeah.
But as you say, the understanding is subtle, and the clinging to the idea of I that can see or know or hear is very deep rooted.
Yeah.
And such understanding only is the path.
Yes. Yes. If it's not there, it's not the path.
That's why it's so very subtle, and it let your ignorance so very secretly and subtly too, by itself. So each moment of understanding is the condition for realization of the truth, parami, see? And it can arise by conditions unexpectedly. So the confidence of the truth is so firm and firmer when understand the way it is.
Alan, it's attachment to what's gone, but it's also very tamada. So Sotapanna still has attachment to sense objects, but she understands that it's tamada.
Yes. Yes.
And that is letting go. See, the understanding, the deep understanding of the truth. And it's intellectual understanding, pariyati, until the moment of direct understanding. Patipati is different from pariyati. But it's the beginning again of that level to understand the truth between pariyati and patipati, and understand that what about the pativeda, so far away, so long way. But now it begins to go on little by little on the path. No other way. That's why it's so natural, depending on moment of understanding what is there, at what level. And right understanding is so very truthful. How much understanding of seeing right now, or that which is seen in truth, as it is, only one at a time. See? Otherwise, it's not as sharp, because so many things together, how can there be such deep understanding of the truth? That's why we learn to understand each reality one by one, to understanding that it is not anything, and it's so short and it's gone. the understanding of anicca dukkha begin to be in daily life, not only when people died or some unpleasant situation is there to be known, anytime, by conditions. And by conditions is a firm understanding of the truth. No one there can do anything, can make anything arise at all. It's there already. And if there's not yet the understanding of what is there, how can there be the understanding of whatever is there in life? But it can be learned. Hearing, considering, understanding, letting go wrong understanding and ignorance and attachment very gradually in its own way.
And the reason we talk so much about seeing, hearing, thinking is because there has to be the understanding of the difference between the different doorways. Otherwise, for example, the seeing is always mixed up with the thinking. Like you said, there's thinking about this and that, and it's taken for the seeing, but actually it's just the memory of something. We think that people are seen, but it's just because of memory that we live in this world of dreams and fantasies, taking it for being what is seen and heard, when actually it's just the memory conditioning thinking. And without the understanding of different realities and the different doorways, there can't be any understanding of the fear or the worry that Sal mentioned, or the attachment or the ignorance, because they're all taken for mine. So that's why there has to be the understanding of those realities that experience an object like seeing and hearing, and those that don't experience anything like the visible object and sound, different from the thinking about what is seen and heard. So no matter what we read or study, it has to always come back to the understanding right here and now of what is true, what is real now. Otherwise, there's no way to let go of the idea of I or someone. So even like Carmen was asking me about some deep points in the text, even then, it has to be about now, even when one's reading and considering and thinking about some deep topic. What about the understanding of the chitta at that moment, the thinking, the seeing, the hearing, the clinging, the understanding, the lack of understanding? Always this moment.
But it cannot develop unless also that is the understanding of what is wholesome and unwholesome intellectually, because definition of sati is non-forgetfulness of wholesomeness. So presumably there has to be the understanding of what is wholesome and what is unwholesome in order for that path to start. I think it's something that I've heard Ajahn talk about, that there has to be an understanding of what is wholesome and unwholesome. That's how sati develops. Is that right? I'm not quite sure that my question is clear there.
I think not to be forgetful is not like we conventionally think, usually think, like we remember that this action is good, so we try to do it, and we remember that this is bad and we try to avoid it. I think not remembering is just a function of, I mean, remembering is just a function of sati itself in that moment.
Yes, yes. I can see. So even the intellectual understanding has sati at some level accompanying it, performing its function. That is the understanding that this is the wrong path. So there's the letting go of the wrong path. That must be wholesomeness to some degree or other, even if it's not at the level of pati, direct understanding. There must be sati there at the moment of thinking in a right way.
I mean, sati arises with all kusala. So if it's thinking in a wholesome way, there has to be sati. But to know the difference between what is kusala and akusala, that's the function of understanding, not of sati.
Yes, yeah. And we cannot know the difference between kusala and akusala, that is the difference between what is wholesome and unwholesome, by direct experience until there is the understanding of the difference between a reality which experiences nama and rupa, the reality which doesn't experience. Is that correct? You would say that without that first level of understanding, the Vipassana, it cannot be known precisely whether this moment is wholesome or unwholesome.
Yeah, precisely. I think that's the key word. But I think when there's understanding from the beginning about vipaka, as Sarah was talking about, moments of vipaka different from thinking, there's already some understanding of the nature of thinking, and that nature of thinking is either kusala or akusala. So I think it starts to understand even at the intellectual understanding level.
I suppose before the first Vipassana, that is before the clear distinction of the reality which experiences as distinct from the reality which doesn't experience, everything is a whole, isn't it? It's always several realities joined together, so not possible to understand precisely what is unwholesome, such as attachment, because it's many different realities are joined together.
Yeah, so the word precise, I think, is reference to Pativeda level of understanding. So before that, there's Patipati, and before that, Pariyati. So I think they're levels of understanding.
Yes.
Even those who have never heard the Buddha's teachings know kindness is good and anger is bad, but without understanding of what is Dhamma now, what is Dhamma that experience, what is Dhamma that doesn't experience, what is Dhamma that is not self, it will all be taken for my good and my bad. So the beginning is not understanding what is wholesome and what is unwholesome, but beginning to understand what is Dhamma, what is the meaning of Dhamma that is not something, not me. What is seen now is just what is visible, not a thing, not a place. What experiences it is just a moment of experiencing, not my experience. And
But that moment, the moment of thinking like that is accompanied by sati. It is a wholesome moment, yeah.
Any wise considering is accompanied by sati. And as Sukhin said, even any moment of kindness or generosity is accompanied by sati. It guards from unwholesome chittas arising at those particular moments, even if there is no understanding at all. But the path is not just developing more and more kusala without understanding. The path is developing the understanding of whatever appears, understanding what is Dhamma, no matter whether it's seeing or what is seen, or anger or kindness, any reality, that they are just Dhammas. And this is the main point. Otherwise, all the kusala and akusala will be taken as belonging to the other or to me, and it will be an idea of a situation again. Oh, good when one gives, good when one opens the sutta, but it's not actually the understanding of any Dhamma.
No. And so also I think that from the beginning there should be the understanding that most thinking, or most of life is garbage, in the sense that it is unwholesomeness every split second of life. It's very, it is unwholesomeness because it's accumulated. It's very rare, the moment of wholesomeness.
And one can appreciate that, okay, all the worry and the anger and the unwholesomeness is garbage. But what about the seeing now, the hearing now, which is just a moment of result and then gone, but the object of clinging again and again. And this is why in the deepest sense, the Buddha taught that whatever arises and falls away is unsatisfactory, is dangerous, is like a dagger. So we could say in this sense, even the wholesome moments, whatever arises is gone instantly and is garbage in the deepest sense.
A danger in the sense that it is a condition for unwholesomeness, a condition for life to go on.
Condition for both, yes. It's dangerous because it's the object of clinging again and again and again. And it's, while samsara carries on, life in samsara is dangerous, full of ignorance, full of attachment. So only when there's no more life is there no more danger.
Right. Thank you.
So Sarah, I wonder the meaning of danger there. Is it anything related to, Vipassana, Bangayana or something?
Well, it's only when there is the developed understanding at that level is the dangerous nature directly understood of each conditioned reality, even kindness now, even understanding in the deepest sense is dangerous. Now there can be the beginning of considering and reflecting why whatever arises is unsatisfactory, why it is dangerous, but it's just moments of beginning to reflect wisely, different from how we're used to thinking. But when we talk about Vipassana Jnana, it is the very clear understanding. So when, like Alan was mentioning earlier about understanding Nama and Rupa and the distinction, but before that, as you mentioned, there has to be the development of Satipatthana. There has to be the understanding of different realities very well indeed, very precisely. And so the direct understanding of the danger of each reality appearing very clearly is a high level of understanding, but there can be the wise reflecting now.
So Kim, the Pali word there that's often sometimes translated as dangerous is often also translated as loathsome. So it depends how you consider it. Of course, the nature of conditioned Dhammas are certainly loathsome in that respect. And we can use the word dangerous sometimes. So it can be, people may misunderstand it. So it always comes down to our understanding. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that for the time being.
Thank you,
Perhaps
Sundar.
Ajahn would like to talk more about the danger of conditioned realities.
Does anyone would like something to be permanent? See, and when it's not permanent, it is danger because it conditions what kind of chitta at that moment. Is it frightened? That which arises and falls away, never to arise again. Before that, that is the idea it lasts for some time and forever in this life. But in truth, it's not there at all. It's so very short, shorter than anyone can expect. Because now we can understand that nothing can be expected to be next moment at all. Even next moment cannot be known. So what is there in life? The understanding of the truth of what is there now. Can it be known? Which one will be known? At what time can it be known? Whatever is there is always unexpected. But we think about something lasts for some time. But in truth, nothing can last at all, even for some time, never at all. There are conditions for whatever arises, and as it arises, it falls away instantly because the condition it just to arise. Is there such understanding of what is there now? And what about the idea? Let it be on and on and on, or it's so no, it shouldn't be object of clinging at all because it's not there. But when it's there, does it harm? Like it so much, want it to be forever, and so on. But it's not like it is. It does not last at all. It's so very short. So at moment of realizing the truth, is it dangerous to understand the danger that spoil everything in life? No one at all, nothing at all, no possessions, no whatever one likes. See, at that moment, when we think of death, we can think of that which hasn't come yet, but it comes unexpectedly, unknown. No time to think about the danger of it, but consider the truth. Who will not die, and who know when will we die? At what moment? Unexpected. Everything is unexpected. Even it's unexpectedly arise, it falls away instantly. So what is the use of whatever arises? Before it arises, it's not there. And as soon as it has risen, it falls away, just like when it hasn't risen at all. And keep on like this, on and on and on, non-stop. Never end at all. Is it dangerous to just arise and fall away? So we consider what we mean by danger or dangerous. What is danger? What is dangerous? It harms by its way, no matter what. Whatever harms is dangerous. So at moment of understanding the danger of what is there, gone forever, never arise again, it's not just thinking or considering about this, but it's so true when it's there. So thinking about possession, the danger of it is that when it's lost, no matter what, arms or legs or whatever, when it's danger, it harms. So thinking about the danger of life, not danger of I or my possession or whatever, but the danger of life, it just arises and falls away, unknown. And when there is ignorance, there is attachment of what appears or aversion of that which appears on and on non-stop. What is the use of just a moment of life, a moment of this life? Just keep on non-stop. See, is it dangerous? Or is it danger because it spoils what we like? The moment we enjoy it, from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching, and so on. What for? That's why only right understanding can see the danger of whatever arises falls away. Why it arises to be object of clinging is so useless, because even clinging is gone. Nothing can stay at all. Nothing can last at all, even right now. So it is not just trying to see the danger, but to understand the truth. What is danger and what is not danger? What is not danger is that which does not arise at all. How can it be a danger when it does not arise at all? So what arises is dangerous. It's a danger. Is it true? That's all. Just understand life deeper and deeper to understand it. What is life? It's just a moment of experiencing an object, uncontrollable. No one can stop its arising. No one can stop its falling away. It's there by conditions by itself. No one, no me. If there's no moment of birth which experiences an object from that moment on and on and on and on until the end of this life, the end of this series of what arises and falls away, experience what is there in this world as we take it for something, and then no more. But the other moment is there again, experience in such different being, different situation, and so on, and then die again. Is it good? Is it should be the object of clinging to that which is not there at all, but keep on arising and falling away? So the danger in this meaning is not like what we take it for danger in life, to be killed, to be harmed. It's much more than that. No one can stop the feeling pain. No one can stop seeing. No one can stop thinking. It works its way, arises to perform the function of its own, and on and on. Just when it's there and then gone, no more. Is it dangerous? Or is pleasant?
And Alan, I just wanted to add something to what you said earlier, which I agree with, that very difficult to appreciate even at an intellectual level that everything happens by conditions and not because of any intention on our part. I think that was the way you put it. Hope I've quoted you correctly there. But I wanted to add that another aspect that's very difficult to grasp intellectually is that the development of understanding is not necessarily intertwined with the development of mundane kusala. So we have the idea it's important to understand the difference between kusala and akusala. That will enable us to develop more mundane kusala. But the development of understanding of realities is not linked in some way to that development of kusala. And in fact, it's difficult to let go of the idea that if there were only more kusala in life, there'd be also more understanding or better conditions for understanding to develop. And this can actually be a hindrance, I think, because we're always thinking about developing kusala of the mundane kind. And feeling that if we don't know that difference, then how can there be development of the understanding of realities? But the one is not a condition for the other. So again, there can be letting go of that idea and just remembering that it's the understanding of what is appearing now that is the important thing.
Yes. And I suppose that's the meaning of the middle way, isn't it? Because in actual fact, we can't, there's no control over whether this moment is wholesome or unwholesome, whether it's anger or kindness. It's just there by conditions. But if there is the understanding of that moment more, then that is the path. So it's not a matter of not a matter of choice. Even if you want to have more kusala, you cannot have more kusala because it's there by conditions. But when there is awareness and understanding more of each moment, whether it is wholesome or unwholesome, there is the path, and that's the sort of middle way between being self-indulgent and not self-indulgent, I guess. Being aware of akusala, unwholesome, whatever reality is there. Yeah, so I take your point that to worry about whether it's kusala or not kusala is pointless. It has to be the understanding of whatever reality is now. And that's by conditions as well.
And
Yeah.
Alan, when we hear the Buddha's words, do good, avoid evil, purify the mind, it's just stating about nature of reality, that good is good, evil is evil. But the point is that there must be understanding of what good as good, evil as evil. So she's actually talking about understanding, purify the mind, because purify the mind can only be led by understanding. And once understanding is developed, this doesn't mean that one is not going to do good and avoid evil. One will do good and avoid evil once the understanding is developed. So that's what the path is. That's the teaching of all Buddhas, that understanding leads to all good.
Yes, and I think that's there in the suttas, isn't it, where the Buddha talks about that when the perceiving of impermanence or the understanding of impermanence leads to turning away from sounds and sights and tastes, in other words, turning away from attachment. It's when reality is understood as it is. It's just nonsense to have attachment to it or aversion towards it. But without that
And that's the middle way.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
That developed understanding, there could never be the Bayanyana, the really deep understanding of the danger of whatever is conditioned and the turning away from whatever is conditioned. So the understanding has to develop in the beginning. Very difficult to appreciate, but the understanding can become firmer and firmer until it is the very deep danger of what is conditioned now, seeing now, hearing now, kindness now. Any conditioned reality can be appreciated.
If I may interject, please excuse me. Thank you, Alan, and everyone for all your comments. And Kunsakin, it just is helpful to know and to be reminded over and over the resourcefulness that I can, the self, this delusion of self gets caught up in adverse conditions, but they're just conditions. It's just neutral. And any moment can be a moment for understanding. I need not turn away, just simply experience the characteristic of whatever reality is arising. Please excuse me. Thank you.
Thanks, Eve. Yes, good points. Always now, any reality at all. And just because we don't have much time, I just want to ask Jyotika too, if you would like to say anything, Jyotika, or bring up any topic. We're glad that you could join us today. I'm not sure if you're speaking, Jyotika. We can't hear you.
I thought I was too late, but I thought I was too early for the discussion, but I was too late, in fact. I came later in. It is because of the winter time, I think. Anyway, my question was an experience that I thought, oh, I didn't know more about making choices because there is no one who is making a choice. I didn't know more about tasting. I said, who is tasting? Everything is going on, but not by me. How? Yeah. This is a mystery.
But actually, it seems a mystery, but in fact, the answer is by different conditions. So the tasting arises because of conditions. There must have been the object, the taste that has impinged on the tongue, and the tasting must arise because of past karma, because it's vipaka citta. So it may be tasting of pleasant or unpleasant taste, depending on the karma from the past. But if there is no taste to be tasted, like now, no taste to be tasting, so no condition for tasting. So the answer is always by different conditions. Now there are conditions for seeing and for hearing and for thinking. So whatever arises by different conditions.
But it is always not me who is seeing them.
Never you that is seeing, only seeing which arises when the visible objects impinged on the eye sense and karma has conditioned seeing. When one's asleep and one's eyes are closed, no conditions for seeing at that time, but now conditions for seeing, but in between so much thinking and hearing. So it's just one moment and then gone by conditions. No one knows what the next moment will be, whether it'll be thinking or hearing, thinking with kindness, thinking with confusion. Whatever arises is by conditions, no me at all, no I that can make a choice, as you said, no I that can decide what to think about, no I that can make understanding arise, no I that can stop confusion when reading a sutta, which Tsao was talking about at the beginning. Just different dhammas, different elements, dhatus, arising and falling away by conditions. And this is life. Very simple, but very subtle.
This is life.
This is life. That's all there is to life. Just different elements arising and falling away by different conditions. No one there, no body, no arm, no person, no table, just different elements, different nama elements and different rupa elements arising and falling away by different conditions. Nothing for an I to do, because there is no I at all.
No responsibility.
No responsibility by an I, but you can say kusala chittas have the responsibility to be good. Sati has the responsibility to guard from unwholesomeness. Understanding has the responsibility to understand what is there. Hiri and Otapa have the responsibility to see the shame in unwholesomeness and to protect. So each different Chaitasika has its function, its job to do. Chaitanya has the responsibility or function to coordinate the other Chaitasikas. Ekagata, concentration, has the function to focus on one object at a time, to be one-pointed. That's why only one reality can ever be experienced at a time. Only one object can be experienced, reality or concept.
Is it okay
Viriya
to,
has, yes, go on.
is it okay to compare it with a team without a leader?
Well, we could say that Chitta is the leader in experiencing the object. And when Panya arises, it is the leader in the development of the right path. But no I that is any leader.
Yeah.
Without the Chitta as the leader in experiencing what is seen now, what is heard, what is thought about, the other Chaitasikas couldn't arise and perform their particular roles or functions.
So all the different parts are making it happening together.
Exactly. And all those different namas, the Chitta and the Chaitasikas, they all condition each other, support each other, affect the way the others have their experience. For example, when attachment arises, the sanya with attachment, the virya, the effort with attachment, is different from the sanya and the virya with understanding or kusala chittas. So each one conditions the others. So it is like a team, each part of the team affected by the other members of the team. The feeling, the Vedana with dosa is different from the Vedana with lobha. It has the same function of tasting or feeling the object, but the nature will be different depending on the Chitta and other Chaitasikas arising together with it. No I that decides to have unpleasant feeling or anger now, but when it arises by conditions, those Chaitasikas perform those particular functions and then gone. It's just for a moment. Whatever arises is just for a moment and then gone.
And can we really understand it? We.
Little by little, like even now, the feeling now is different from the feeling a moment ago. What is heard now is different from what was heard a moment ago. The seeing now is different from a moment ago, different from the thinking about it. And there can be the beginning, there can be the considering again and again. What is this I that seems to be in control, or that we would like so much to be in control? Where is it? Can it be found? Or is it just that which is imagined? So the understanding begins to develop and goes a little deeper and deeper, so that there is more and more confidence, less thinking that I have to make a choice or I can decide what is seen or heard at this moment, because a little more understanding that there are just these different nama dhammas and rupa dhammas.
Enough to go on.
Yes. And I think we're just about time to finish. So I just see if Ajahn would like to add anything before we finish.
What about the truth of actually what is there now appears just one at a time? Imagine what is the world, whereas the other world, which does not appear together at that moment, just only one reality is appearing. Is that true? But it does not appear as it is. That's why learn to understand the truth, to let go the idea of something or someone or this or that. Because in truth, when just one reality appears, so clear, where are the others? See, where's the I, or where's someone or something? So the truth is the truth, depending on whether it appears as it is or not. But we learn to understand that actually, in a moment, there's no thing and no one, only that which appears. So now, imagine seeing there is just that which appears. What about the other things around? What is true? When they are together, the idea of something or someone is always there. But when it's there as it is, can it be anyone? That which is seen appears as it is, which is not that which sees. So we learn to understand the truth little by little, for the moment to be object of understanding what is there as it is. So now, what is there? Is it as it is? Or someone or something? That's why we learn about the truth of what is appearing on and on and on and on, to be conditioned for realizing the truth, to be known when time comes. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadika, Ajahn.
สวัสดีครับ
ครับ
ท่านอาจารย์
ครับท่านอา
Thank
จาร
you
ย์
very
Thank you very
much.
much อาจารย์
อาจารย์อนุโมทนากับคุณเซราคุณจร
Very glad to see you all. Yes.
See you.
And we
Thank you,
will
sir.
see you next week. Yes. Glad you made it, Yotika. It doesn't matter if you're late anytime.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Sal, no need to worry about your English. It's perfect,
Yeah.
especially your written English. It looks
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you.
a notebook here.
คุณเอ็นมีอะไรคะ